Welcome to Quantum Finance. My name is Parker. I'm the head trader here, but I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. So in today's video, we'll take a look at the economic data, we'll look at some earnings, we'll go over the news, then we'll do a market recap, and to finish the video off, we'll look at the trading opportunities from today. So starting here on the economic calendar, today we did not have any significant economic data drop, but tomorrow, Tuesday, April 25th, we do get building permits, consumer confidence, and new home sales. So turning to the earnings calendar here, we did have Coca-Cola, First Republic, and Signature Bank. And now turning to some news, this is the net long short position on the 10-year Treasury yield futures here. As you can see, this is the bearish hedge funds have ever been, right? The most bearish hedge funds have ever been on the 10-year Treasury futures. And here we have large speculators and hedge funds back to seeing the largest net short position on the S&P 500 futures since 2011. And here we have 19 new countries submitting membership requests to join the BRICS nations, which is challenging the US dollar's global dominance. And here we have the central bank gold purchases hit the highest since 1967. And we also have Zimbabwe to create a digital currency backed by gold. And housing is so unaffordable that banks are losing money for each mortgage they finance for the first time ever. So now we can do a market recap here, starting in the debt market, looking at the US 10-year yield here. As you can see, getting a red day, poking back below that midline here after getting rejected here at that midline on the weekly chart. Now turning to the dollar, we do have a red day here in the dollar after getting rejected off that midline a couple times, starting to roll back down here towards this lower extreme on the daily chart. Turning to stocks. So here we have a green day in stocks. Not much action though. Pretty small green day here. Still consolidating up here at the upper end of this daily range. Turning to crypto, we have Bitcoin getting a red day here in Bitcoin 2, breaking through Friday's lows. Getting a wick, just kind of, wicks to both sides here. Still, sitting down here at the lower end of this daily range. XRP, we do have a red day here in XRP. Fairly volatile day with a large wick up here to get rejected off this midline here. Pretty close to pulling into that midline here on the weekly chart. Now we can look at commodities. Here we have oil, getting a green day here, getting back up through that midline here on the daily chart. Turning to gold, we have a green day here in gold, pretty much sitting right there at that midline here on the daily chart. Starting to get kind of squeezed here on gold. And silver, we have a green day here on silver as well. Getting, wicks pretty close to that midline here. With that midline getting up over this previous structured resistance here from January. So now we can look at the trading opportunities from today. We can start here on the daily chart, do our volume analysis here. As you can see, fairly low volume day here, below the volume average, but majority buying coming in today. We can look here at the 5-minute. So another choppy day here. This was Friday, as you can see, just inside day chop. And, this is today here with, another inside day just full of chop, right? Getting a little sell-off here around 10:30, and then, just kind of recovering, closing right here above the open and right there at Friday's highs. So we can look at the relativity here, looking at the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. As you can see, the SPY is relatively stronger than the NASDAQ here, with the SPY closing above the open and right there close to Friday's highs, with the NASDAQ closing below the open and well below Friday's highs. So now we can zoom out a little bit on the S&P 500 here. Looking at the 2-hour chart, as you can see, we did get a double bottom here, so we did not end up squeezing to the downside. We did get a double bottom off this lower extreme here. Getting squeezed here on the 1-hour chart, the 30-minute. So yeah, starting to flip kind of bullish here, right? With the price getting back above these moving averages here on the 2-hour chart. As you can see, we can draw this kind of downtrend line here. As you can see, kind of approaching this downtrend line here. So, if the market does stay as strong as it has been, we could get some a breakout here to the upside. Yeah, so we can go back to the 5-minute. So obviously I didn't like any trades here on the S&P 500. We haven't had any good SPY trades in a while here with just this choppy range and all these inside days we've been having. There really wasn't, with this kind of chop, there wasn't really any good options trades either. But there was a decent trade here. As you can see at the top of the scanner, we did have INAB with just a ton of volume, massive percent gain. So we did have a small cap today that had a pretty good trade. We can actually, we can start here on the daily chart. As you can see, getting a large gap up here with a big strong green day. And I just wanted to point out the significant level that I drew here. As you can see, getting our big gap up, kind of pulling in, then getting a push up, 2 new highs on the day, pulling back into VWAP, getting back above that significant level, which lined up with the previous day's high, or the earlier high on the day, getting above it, pulling back into it as support with our squeeze, and then that squeeze took us to new highs on the day. And this move did end up being about a 32% move. And we can zoom out a little bit here. As you can see, with this 15-minute trade line coming up, crossing VWAP, and getting our squeeze here for a nice push up to this upper extreme here on the 15-minute chart, which would have been a really nice profit target there, running into that upper extreme here. So this was a small cap move. With this amount of chop in the market, it is, good to look at these small caps because, a lot of the charts on the large caps are going to be busted, with just the price action in the overall S&P 500. So when trading small caps, I do like to look at the statistics here. So we can look at Yahoo Finance. As you can see here, I have it pulled up, INAB, and it had a 9.8 million float. So really low float, less than 10 million shares available to trade. And as you can see here, on the day, we're looking at about 166 million volume. So that is a lot of turnover. It's one of the reasons I did like this stock here. And it also had a news catalyst. We can pull that up. Take a look at that. So we have long-term complete remissions in elevated gamma delta T cells of evaluable treated leukemia patients. So this looks like some positive news on a cancer drug showing long-term complete remissions in elevated gamma delta T cells in leukemia patients. From company announced new data from the phase 1 trials of their leukemia drug. So yeah, it's always good. Cancer drugs, they always drive a lot of hype, especially when there's positive data that comes out after their trials have gone through. And they got orphan drug designation from the FDA. So yeah, a lot of positive bullish catalyst here on this low float. So that's why we got a ton of volume today. A lot of people, when the market's slow like it is now, like the S&P 500, a lot of people like to look at more catalyst driven and smaller cap companies to take advantage of stuff like this while the market is just chopping around and trying to find direction. But yeah, so that was really the only trade I liked on the day. Not really anything else. Still waiting on the S&P 500 here to give us some direction and just stop having all these inside days, right? Like if you look here, as you can see on the 1-hour chart, we just had a ton of inside days. Not really any good direction here. Just kind of been, chopping around in this range. But we are kind of squeezed here, and it's looking, after today, this is looking fairly bullish. If we look at the daily chart here, as you can see, kind of getting a bottoming structure here right above the daily midline here, with a lot of buying volume coming in the past couple days. And we are still bullish here on the on-balance volume, which is an indication that there's still more buying than selling. But something I do want to point out is the NASDAQ, right? Because as you see here on the on-balance volume on the S&P 500, we have more buying than selling, right? That's why that white line is above that pink line here. But if you look at the Qs in the tech sector, as you can see, we are below that. That means there is more selling than buying here in the NASDAQ. So that is probably, a large reason why there's been a lot of chop, because there has been a lot of divergence in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So yeah, we're gonna need tech to catch up and play a role and get some more bids. you know, so we can get this market moving higher here. But as you can see, the NASDAQ here pulling in, you know, and kind of wicking back above this midline here, getting fairly squeezed here on the daily chart. So yeah, definitely really interesting action we're getting here with this divergence here in the sell volume on the NASDAQ and the, you know, still pretty strong buy volume here on the S&P 500. But both charts sitting above their daily 20 EMAs, which is bullish. And, you know, we still have this really nice looking monthly candle here. So, yeah, market has been holding up pretty nicely here. Even after, you know, kind of breaking, getting down towards that lower end of that broadening wedge that we were talking about for the past couple days. But, yeah, that should do it for the video. Appreciate y'all watching, and I will talk to y'all later.